Welcome to the Cryptic podcast, the podcast where we talk about the creepy, the cryptic, and the macabre. I'm your host, Ron, joined always by Clancy.
Hi, everyone.
Each episode, one of us will have a topic that the other doesn't know much about. Today, we'll be diving into some French-Canadian folklore. We will be talking about the Loup Garou. It was definitely an interesting subject to research for me growing up in a French Catholic family. I remember being told stories about the Loup Garou.
Yeah, it's kind of like me with my mom, where she's Indigenous, and I would always get told stories when I was little about the Wendigo coming to get me.
So what is the Loup Garou? The Loup Garou is typically described as a person who can change into an animal form, often as a wolf. In French-Canadian folklore, the Loup Garou is often a dog. It may also take on the form of a calf, a small ox, a pig, a cat, or even an owl.
That's some variety right there. Sorry.
It really is. It's I'm just picturing because the Loup Garou, in other words, is a werewolf. So just picture a werecat coming at you, or like a werepig.
Why is it cute though? Like a werepig? That sounds adorable.
So where does the Loup Garou come from? The Loup Garou is brought to Canada by French settlers from traditional tales about werewolves. The Loup Garou is believed to be a cursed man. In French Canadian tradition, the Loup Garou is often guilty of not being a good Christian. For example, people who did not confess during Easter could be cursed to become werewolves. The spell could last as long as 101 days. So imagine turning into this monster every single night for 101 days.
That sounds exhausting.
Like, it really does. Like, imagine just walking around the woods. Because, like, Quebec, it's all thick woods. So, like, imagine if you turn back, like, during the day, like, 100 kilometers away from your house.
When do you sleep?
Like, it would be such a pain. It would take hold of the victim every evening. They were then forced to wander the countryside in animal form. The spell might be broken if someone recognized the individual while transformed and could draw blood from the animal. So the only way to break the curse is for someone to be like, oh yeah, that's Jeff, and throw a rock at him and make him bleed.
What, they don't recognize by the bags under their eyes because they're so tired?
Oh.
I mean,
it's
that's
very specific. Like, and neither person could speak about the incident. So if one of you told anybody about it for the rest of your lives, the curse would come back.
Oh, wow. So, like, you're like, it's okay, Jeff, I got you.
You gotta really trust that the person that you know, and you can't tell anybody that it is you, or else it doesn't count.
They don't really talk about that kind of stuff in a lot of werewolf things in the media, and that, like, they don't talk about, like, these weird little niche things that, like, if you see the person and recognize them and draw blood, but no one says anything, all's good.
In French Canadian folklore, the tale of the Loup Garou is tied to Catholic morality, so being a good Christian, really.
Of course.
A religious failing is often linked to the Loup Garou curse. Only shedding the blood could free a cursed man. French Canadian Loup Garou stories were generally less violent than the European counterparts, or even traditional tales told in the United States.
Cool.
Alright, so now we're going to get on to some stories about the Loup Garou. And our first story is an excerpt from July 21st, 1766, a disturbing article published in the Gazette de Quebec. So, just so everybody knows, I don't speak French. I don't speak French very well. So I apologize that I am totally going to butcher most of these pronunciations. And also, the article that I have taken this excerpt from is from 1766. So the wording is a little, it's a little off.
Hitherto Wolfman? Or like stuff like that?
It's just kind of grammatically like different than how we talk. Yeah, now it's very ye old. Yeah.
yeah, ye old Wolfman. There we go. That's a great name for a pub.
So this is the excerpt. We learned from Saint Roche near the camp of Kapmorska that there is a werewolf running the coast in the form of a beggar who, with the talent to persuade what he does not know, and by promising what he cannot keep, he has obtained what he asks for. I have no idea what a wolfman would ask for, but it is said that this animal, with the help of its 2 hind feet, arrived in Quebec on the last 17th, and that it left on the following 18th. So it arrived on the 17th of July, I guess, and left on the 18th the following month. Or, no, it would be, if this article came out in July, it would be either a month or 2 prior. So it stayed for apparently like a month.
I thought it just stayed for like a night.
I don't know. The way it's worded, it's very weird.
Either it stayed for a month or it stayed for a night. But any woodle, there's a wolf man out there.
With the intentions of following the mission as far as Montreal. Okay, so he probably was here for a while if he was going to Montreal.
I guess so.
The species is said to be dangerous in its species, as that which appeared last year in Gavauclan. Oh my god, that's
Gavauclan.
Okay, there we go.
Gavauclan is what I've got.
That is why the public is urged to beware of it, like a lovely wolf.
Wolves are lovely.
Apparently,
according to this.
A few months later, so this is another excerpt from a different article. A few months later, in December 10th, 1767. Yeah, so a year later. From Koroska, on December 2nd, we learned of a certain werewolf who has been rolling in this province for several years and who has done a lot of damage to the district of Quebec. So I guess this was before Quebec was even a province. Received several considerable assaults last October by various animals that had been armed and unleashed against this monster. Whenever they say the animals are armed, I'm just picturing like strapping like a knife to a dog and just sending it at him.
Go get him. Well, and it's funny too that like the considerable assaults were during October, during the spoopin' times.
Yeah, it's definitely like...
It's very wolfy of them.
And in particular, on the following November 3rd, which we received some furious blows by a small, thin animal, which we believe to be entirely delivered from this fatal animal, since it remained some time withdrawn in its den. Great satisfaction of the public. We have just learned by the most dangerous of misfortunes that this animal is not entirely defeated, and that on the contrary, it begins to reappear more furious than ever, causes terrible carnage wherever it strikes. So all beware of the wiles of the malicious beasts, and be careful not to fall between its paws.
Aw, between its little paws. Sorry. The way they frame that just sounds so cute.
It's so funny. It's that they talk about being such a malicious beast.
Yeah.
But then they're talking
Careful
about how
not to get caught between its little tootsies.
And that's lovely. And apparently that a small, thin animal was able to hurt it.
Yeah, that's
not
weird.
Not gonna explain what type of animal it is or anything like that. Like it's so funny researching this. This was the most credible article that I could find, and even then, it's also the most cited one, but never in its full context. It's just always like excerpts like this.
Oh, just an excerpt about the beast in its den and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not like it doesn't talk about the hunt for it or anything like everywhere I looked, it was very much either this or like 2 guys got drunk out in the woods and swear they saw something.
Right, a very like Bigfoot-esque encounter.
Yeah. Well, another story I have. This one is very dear to me because this one I'm going to be talking about is a possible Loup Garou sighting that I had whenever I was younger. So, some background. I was probably about 14, 15. We were traveling, me and my uncle, to Fort Collonges, Quebec, which is about 30 minutes from the Ontario-Quebec border. Very small, like 1,500 people village. It's where my dad is from. And I don't know how many of our listeners are from Canada or have driven in northern Ontario and Quebec highways, but there's massive cliff face all along it and then thick woods. And when you get over to the Quebec side, there is like no street lights until you get right to the middle of town. So the second it gets dark, it gets pitch black. You can't see anything. And we were driving in, and I remember at the time, me and my uncle, we were talking about the Loup Garou since we knew we were going to go do a radio show. And as we were driving now, we were talking about it. And whenever we got done, we got there at the radio station probably around 5 or 6, and we got out around 9. And we were driving back, and it's about a 45-minute drive back to where we were living. And so we're driving along, and we had gone the exact same way, and along the cliff face, there's just trees and everything like that. It's very thick woods. Like there could be an axe murderer back there and nobody would ever find them. it's just definitely lumberjack central. But we were driving back. It's dark. It's about 9 o'clock, and we see, as we're going along the highway, something is sitting on top of the rocks. Probably 15, 20 feet up, and we just see a reflection from our headlights, like a set of animal eyes, but it was crouched down like a person, like where it was kind of like that typical image of a werewolf you think in your head if it was crouching down on top of a rock.
That's terrifying. Anything people shaped but with the eye shine of an animal is like so scary.
And because it was so dark, we couldn't get a good look. And we're going on the highway, so we're going fairly quick. And we see this. And, like, I go just completely pale. And I turn to my uncle and I go, Did you just see that thing on top of the rocks? And he just goes, yeah, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to freak you out. But we're both... I just feel the car start lurching a little bit faster.
Yeah.
For the rest of the way till we get back to Ontario, we turned the high beams on because there was nobody else around. Mm-hmm. And it was literally, we joked, we're like, oh, you want to go back and stop the car and go see what's there? And we always joked about that, but it scared the shit out of us.
Yeah, no, you couldn't pay me. You couldn't pay me to stop and go, hello, what you doing? And like try and go see what there is.
Yeah, it was definitely it makes me, that's what made me so excited too about investigating this, because it's part of my family and part of our history, and it makes it very, very kind of personal.
Yeah, no, it was super interesting. Yeah, super interesting.
So that's the Loup Garou. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and share the show with someone who would enjoy it. If you've had an encounter with the Loup Garou or have any suggestions for a topic, we'd love to hear about it. You can email us at creepycrypticpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.